All right, looks like we can go. Thanks, Derek. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar tonight on how to run a two-team practice, shared ice practice in a pod setting, which is very kind of timely right now with COVID and everything that we're going through. But my name is Mike Terwilliger, and I work for Minnesota Hockey. My main title is Hockey Programs Manager. As of late, I've been also the COVID coordinator, so I've been spending a lot of time on that. So it's kind of nice tonight to escape for an hour or two and hear from some hockey experts and to do just some things centered around hockey, which we all love. So first, I'm going to thank a few sponsors that we have, and then I'll introduce our panelists and we'll get started. So again, thanks for tuning in tonight with everyone's busy schedules. Our supporting sponsors tonight are Tria Orthopedic, Ring Systems, the Hockey Intelligence, and Sports Engine. And we've got two presenting sponsors. One is the Coaches site, and also we've got a special guest from CoachStem, our other presenting sponsor for this series we've been running this month. And we have from the Coaches site, we have Stephen Evans, who's the Director of Business Development for CoachStem. So thank you for being here, Stephen. And we also have Mike Weaver, the CEO and founder of CoachStem. He was a 4-year player at Michigan State, and then he played a 13-year career in the NHL. And they're both going to share a lot of a little bit of the backstory of CoachStem, but also how to best use it. And personally, I've used it for about 3 years myself with coaching teams, and I can't say enough good things about it. It's fantastic. So you're going to hear about from them. And we also have from way out in New York, we have from hailing from Westchester, we have Mike Bonelli. So thanks for being here, Mike, from New York. And he's coaches in Connecticut right now, but he grew up in Westchester, played his high school hockey in Connecticut, and then played in college at New England College in New Hampshire. And he's coach-in-chief for USA Hockey for the Eastern District of New York, and does a great job out there. And actually, I've been following him on Twitter for a couple of years. And he's just, if you ever follow him on Twitter, he just does a ton of fantastic stuff. He's all about kids, and he's all about resources for coaches. And so he's going to share some of his perspective on CoachStem as well. So I'm not sure which one of our three experts is going to start tonight, but we'll hear from them in a second. And then after that, we'll have Wes Bolin, who I'll introduce a little bit later, who'll be talking about the two-team practice. So take it away, Coach Dem. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks,
awesome.
Mike.
Thanks, Mike. So my name is Mike Weaver. We're speaking in this webinar series as a proud sponsor of Minnesota Hockey. In 2020, we joined as an official coaching tool of Minnesota Hockey, collaborated with Minnesota Hockey's hockey coach development team for the Drill of the Week initiative, where we highlight a drill from a coach within the state and make the drills easily accessible through a shared CoachStem folder for coaches to access and use in their weekly plans. So basically, all the drills that are on the Drill of the Week are on CoachStem, and you get full access to those drills. The topic for this discussion is how associations can utilize CoachStem to improve their coaching and player development initiatives. Mike already introduced myself. I played 13 years in the NHL. While I was at Michigan State University, I got a telecommunication degree, got a minor in virtual reality, software development, web design. And while I was playing in the NHL, I developed a hockey school, and based on that, I ended up feeling the need for my assistant coaches and my coaches that are assisting me in my hockey school to have the drills before they even showed up on the ice. So being able to share my practice plan with them allows them to show up to the rink, not asking where the pucks are going, but asking a little bit more in depth about the drills. So having them being on the same page as me makes it so much easier to do. So I ended up going and developing a team. I created a whole entire development team. I basically wanted to create a platform that allowed us to be on, didn't matter if it was Mac, Windows, Linux, didn't matter if it was on Chrome or Safari, it just worked. And that's what I set up to do. And to be honest, it's surpassed my expectations. So I'm going to be obviously discussing a little bit about it. Stephen Evans, our Director of Business Development, is going to take over. And then Benelli, I'm telling you, this guy, every time I hear him speak, it's crazy. He is amazing. He's a genius. He's worked with numerous associations as a hockey director and as a coach, is a genius in creating unique drills and team-based practices. And he's a user of Coach STEM and provides great insight in the application of weekly planning. So he's a genius, amazing person that we have continually discussed with, coming up with amazing, unique plans, but he has taken it to another level, and it's basically taken it to another level that I'm going to say is, to be honest, as a coach, as a fellow coach, I'm in awe about. So basically, Coach STEM is a platform for drill creation. It's a practice planning and sharing. We're web app, completely web app. We're not an installable program, a downloadable app, completely web-based. So if your device has a browser, it works on. We have pre-programmed database of 300 plus drills, and we have a sketch pad. You're easily able to design in your desktop, jump to your iPad. We're completely, doesn't matter what device you're on, it works. Became as a resource for individual coaches, but has grown as a platform for groups and ultimately associations. We basically, our first probably 3 years, we amassed about probably about 100,000 drills. And in the last 3 months, we've surpassed, we've done another 200,000 drills. So we basically surpassed 300,000 drills, which is pretty amazing. Obviously, it's not just us creating the drills, it's you guys. So it's pretty amazing. We've worked with over 50 minor hockey associations across North America, Europe, and the world. We've, our tools are, we have about, we have about between 6 and 10 NHL teams, Columbus Blue Jackets, Flyers, Panthers, just to name a couple of them. Our partners, the NHL Coaches Association, we have the OMHA, which has 13,000 coaches, and we partner with the Minnesota association there. So we've done an amazing up to this point, and I'm going to say that I am honored that we have Minnesota as one of our huge associations that has come aboard. That when I was at Michigan State, Minnesota, obviously I went to Michigan State University. Minnesota was one of our people that we've always looked up to, and we were amazing to be a part of it. So thank you so much for having us, and I'll let Stephen Evans take over. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. So yeah, giving a great base to coach them. Building off that, what we really want to hone in on is utilizing our resources and what we've created for your two-team practices. Now, these are things that can be applied to pod setting practices, but on that, once we get through COVID and get back to a bit more of normalcy, these are resources and practices that you can use as you're going out through your regular season. So we're going to touch on 3 different aspects from my end, and then I'm going to pass things over to Benelli. The first thing is going to be talking about drill creation as a whole. So simplifying how you are planning and how you're getting ready for practice. And the second part, we're going to talk about collaboration, and that's working with your fellow coaches to develop a plan, whether it's 2-team or single team. And then the final part of that is going to be sharing, getting out that practice plan to your coaches and to your players before you come to the rink. That way everyone's prepped for your session. So kicking things off, talking about drill creation first, Mike alluded to it in that our platform is available on any device that has a browser. And within that, we want to make sure that you're organized and that you have your playbook accessible at all times. So you can draw on your desktop, you can edit on your tablet with a digital pencil. Mike's an absolute whiz with that. I personally prefer the desktop. It's my definitely my tool of choice just because I use it all the time. But within all of that, you can have your playbook with you at all times. And the goal for that is for you to spend less time preparing, but being more prepared in that process. We know that coaching, volunteer sports, youth hockey does take up a lot of time. So everything that we do has simplicity in mind. We want to make sure that you're coming to the rink prepared, but aren't spending hours and hours trying to get prepared. And so having resources by your side, accessible, ready for you is huge. And especially when you're doing the 2-team practices, when things do get more complex, having that playbook, having that digital resource is really important. And then the third part of that is utilizing archives of your drills and building on what works. As you can see on the left here, we have a plans panel. That's an example of what you would see within our platform, where you have your personal folder. That would be your storage of all your practice plans. So you can develop and you can save an archive of what you ran in January of last year, try to replicate it again this year, and maybe change up any of the elements that didn't work. As you know, some of the best practices that you'll run don't need to be completely reinvented to still be good and still be applicable. You can take some pieces that you like and just drop in a new drill and save it as a new plan. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Now, the second part of this is in terms of the collaboration, and this is where we see a ton of opportunity with our platform, and I've had a lot of feedback from our coaches on. The first point here that I would like to highlight is utilizing the resources and the knowledge of your fellow coaches. Now, this is something that's big in typical practice. Mike kind of touched on it a little bit in terms of working with your assistant coaches and getting some of their knowledge out. But when you're developing 2-team practices or you're collaborating with another coach in your organization, it's a great opportunity to set a base foundation for a drill or a base foundation for a practice like you'll see here that we'll go through, and then allow yourself to work with other coaches to build on what you already have set. So whether you're building up a drill or you're building up your personal database of drills, utilizing resources from the coaches around you is absolutely massive. Now, in order to do that, centralized resources are extremely important. In order to have that place that you're sharing drills and plans to, you need to be on the same page with the coaches that you're working with. And that's where we found a lot of success with our sharing features and with our collaboration features, is that you're no longer passing notes of sticky notes or laminated sheets of paper or a crumpled up napkin, but you have a clean and a professional interface that you can communicate with your coaches with. And so you can create, for example, a team folder that would be your storage and your repository of your drills and your practice plans, and you can share it to it. Your fellow coaching staff can share it to it. And then the coaches that you're working with on a daily basis can collaborate with it as well. So having that shared resource that's standardized and then you're able to communicate with within one place is really important. And now what that comes down to in terms of developing a 2-team practice or a station-based practice is allowing some coaches to fill in the blanks, and that way you're not doing everything yourself. And so the note here is working collaboratively with your coaches for drill progressions or just for practices in general. And so you'll see on the right-hand side of the image here that I developed a 6-station practice plan. I did stations 1, 2, 5, and 6. But what I really wanted is that center of the ice to be focused on defense. And so I've assigned that section to Mike. Mike's an NHL pro, played over 600 games pro, and he's definitely the best person to cover the defensive side of the game. So I want to send this plan to him, leave those sections blank. I've made it very clear, station 3 and 4, Mike, you have it okay. And what he can do is open up his coach them profile. He can delete those little messages that I have, put in actual drills into that space, and send it back to me. And so in doing that, not only are we spending less time preparing as a whole because I've done a part job and he's done a part job, but the players are getting experience both from myself and from Mike in what they're running throughout their practice. So whether you're collaborating with another head coach or you're working just with your coaching staff and want to get some of their insight, this is a great method in doing so. And then the last thing that I'll just touch on here is in terms of the sharing. Now, sharing now is more important than ever, and that's with your coaches and that's with your players the night before practice so everyone's on the same page. right now, especially with what we have with the pandemic, is you don't have that same room time. You don't have the same time face to face with your coaches or with your players. And every single minute extra that you spend at the board explaining a drill or stopping a drill that got wrecked and then having to redo it and re-explain it is time wasted. And it's time that the players don't have opportunity to play the game. And so ensuring that they have the resources beforehand is all the more important, and also empowering your assistant coaches and your coaching staff to make sure that they have the resources to be successful. So if a coach is just trying to speak to a assistant coach or one of your staff members on clarifying a part of the drill, at least they can communicate what's going on, and it just makes things run all more simply. And so if you set up a team with us and you open up that team sharing space here, all you have to do is you type in the name of the team and you click the share button. You don't need to send emails. Everything's done right through the site. They can view it within their Coach Them profile, and they can use it and they can learn it through that practice. So with that, what I wanted to do is hand things off to Mike Benelli. Mike got a great intro from Mr. Weaver as well, so I don't want to touch on that too much, but Benelli's been fantastic to work with on our end. He's been a great user of our platform. And he's used a lot of these applications for his own use with his station-based practices, and has developed some great methodologies along the way. So within that, Benelli, I'm going to throw things to you, and we'll let you take it away.
Yeah, no, and thank you for the introduction. I really do appreciate it, Mike and Stephen, and certainly and Mike for the Twitter shout out. But I think, I really am passionate about, obviously youth hockey and youth sports, but I think more importantly in this time, I've just really embraced the opportunity to use the best technologies I can find to help the kids, have some kind of normalcy and build a program together with the staffs that we have. I'm really fortunate that most of the staffs that I work with have some pretty high level ex-players and current coaches. So really, it's so important for me to make sure I incorporate them into anything that I try to do, because having those resources available really is really beneficial for the success for me as a head coach. And what I've been doing a lot of lately for a lot of organizations is developing these station-based plans so they can be more efficient on the ice time that they're limited with. So going on with that, obviously, what are some of the best practices in building your practice? And I think Coach Them for me has been that vehicle to help me do all these things, right? So we want to build plans with a goal in mind. And what I mean by that really is, you can determine a theme, you can determine a skill set you want to work on. But basically what you want to do is, you don't want to be, I tend to not to like wing it coaches. Like, okay, what do you want to do today? Or what do you want to do next 15 minutes? What do you want to do in the next 15 minutes? Having this digital platform available to me allows me to kind of build out long-term goals, but I'm finding in today's game, it's helping me not only build short-term goals, but figure out, okay, what do I want to accomplish today? Because I haven't had a game in 5 weeks, that I can make so much fun and really incorporate out of what I want to teach in a competitive environment. Number two, in building your best practices, develop a collaborative environment. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than having coaches and being a USA Hockey coach education team member. We see in New York and certainly in Minnesota, we see thousands of coaches in my district go through the process of background checks, CEP certifications, all the things that you need to do. And then to have all these assistant coaches come out to work with you, and they don't have an assignment, and they don't have a purpose, and they don't have something that you can't use them to add to your practices. I know, frankly, for me, it would be really hard for me to come to that environment. Also, by having that collaborative environment too, you're getting those coaches that maybe aren't so sure about how they want to help in practice. You give them the opportunity to say, hey, listen, you're station 3 guy, know your station ahead of time, feel confident about your station, and be prepared. Here it is. You just have to follow the plan. And I think we have a lot of those guys here. Not in Minnesota. I know there's not too many coaches that don't know what they're doing, but I know out here we have those guys that all they're the Squirt A champs, and they let us know each week. So we try to give them the plan that we want, but we want them to collaborate on the plan as well. And you hear this all the time, obviously, have fun, and I don't mean just have fun with the players having fun. I know me as a coach, I want to have a ball when I'm on the ice. I do not want to be in a situation where my head is exploding and I'm screaming and yelling, and I can't have fun. If you're having fun, it's contagious. The players are going to have fun, but you're the one developing that practice plan. You're the one developing the fun factor. So whether it's a battle drill or a simple skating drill and a stick handling drill, try to make it fun. Think about how you would feel if you were in that drill, and really try to develop that in your practices. So one of the things we went through, over the course of the last couple of weeks is trying to find ways to have fun. So what I started to develop, and maybe I had too much time on my hands, I'm not sure, and way too much access to coach them, because it really is such a simple tool to use. And you get to, the best part of coaching is being able to coach, is coming up with the plan, figuring out what the players were doing right, what they were doing wrong, what I can improve on, how can I inspire them. So we have this guy, Martin St. Louis, in our program, and he's an ex-player. He played a little bit of hockey in the NHL, and he was a really fun guy to say, well, let me see how I can really bring this home for the kids. So what I kind of did was reverse engineer a practice plan. So we did this Martin St. Louis Night of Skills. I went back and found his like a highlight film that he had on Instagram or Twitter, or somebody built for him. And I was able to just on my iPhone extract 6 clips of little things he did: jumping out from behind the net, little drop pass, little stutter, little plays that he was making on a regular basis as an NHL pro that I could now take and make a drill out of it. And the cool thing with Coach Them, which I actually only started using a couple of months ago, this feature, is taking the film, saving it on YouTube. I save it on Vimeo, and then putting the film, the clip, into the practice plan. So when I send this practice plan out to the coaches, they're able to see the drill. So we're going to show you the clip, and then we're going to show you the drill. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of the reason behind why I ended up doing this. So Stephen, if you could play that clip. So here's Marty doing it. Just a little clip, a little toe drag, pull, shot, goal, right? And then the clip ends. But again, I just saved that little tiny clip on my phone, and you need to place it somewhere so it could attach into Coach Them. But now it's saved forever. And I send this practice plan out to the kids and out to the coaches, and on every one of these stations, I'm able to put in a drill, in a video. So there's 6 videos in this lesson plan, and I send this out to the coaches with a description, but I also send it out with the video what it's supposed to look like. And it was, I got unbelievable feedback from this, only because of the fact that, number one, is there's probably a lot of Martin St. Louis fans out there, but it really does give the kids an opportunity to really say, wow, that's what it really looks like. That's like, I can't do that drill. Like, I can't show that drill in practice and do it at that level. And you can't add kids in. You can't add cones in. You can't add pieces in there to replicate that. So show the kids the skill you want. We're able to send that out as a lesson plan. And I think more importantly for me, 6 coaches knew what I was thinking. So not only in the writing, but they were able to really comprehend what I was thinking. And I was able to do that all within the Coach Them feature. And it's shareable, which was, phenomenal for me. So when I look at a coach and I look at what our job is and why personally I use a program like Coach Them, I look at the coach's perspective of all this, right? For the players, it gives them a plan. It gives that player an opportunity to know what's happening. I know for my older kids and some of the pros we work with, I worked with the Connecticut Whale a little bit last year. We send out, like Colton Orr was the head coach, he would send out that plan ahead of time. It's on the glass. Everyone knows it. The players are, especially your smart players, your older players, your more seasoned players, they just run through these drills. They know exactly, okay, what's up next? This is the drill. This is the plan. And they're able to have a lot more fun, a lot more flow. And it really does give those players too that aren't the first time learner to really see that plan in action before they get on the ice. They can ask a teammate, they can ask an assistant coach, they can communicate with you. Just gives a whole nother perspective of your practice by getting it out ahead of time. For the coaching staff, again, going back to being inclusive, giving coaches the opportunity to add drills in, giving coaches the opportunity to say just what Stephen did earlier with Mike. Listen, I did the hard stuff. You get to do the fun stuff. Develop a drill in the center of the ice and make it yours. And then it makes, I don't care if it's Mike Weaver or Mike Benelli, it makes that coach so much more passionate about helping when they know they have a purpose, that their only job is to bitch about your drills, right? They're in there. They're going to get in the mix. They're going to be inclusive. They're helping you. And honestly, they help you send your message. And then for the parents, I'm a big believer in showcasing your efforts. By you building that plan and sending it out ahead of time, you're letting those parents know the work you've put in, the effort you're giving. The old adage that the kids don't know how much you know until they know how much you care. This is one of those helps with that. Putting that practice plan together, having it distributable, having it archivable, and having it as a place where you as a coach go back to it over and over and over again. Take out the drills you like, put in the drills you don't. But the parents see that effort. They don't see the napkin drawing drill, and they don't see the fact that, well, he's a pretty good coach, but he's always winging it. And your practices might be good, but I think this gives it a whole nother layer of that interaction you're going to have with your parents and your players. And I've loved the program since I've been using it, and I'm finding new and improved ways to use it every day. And I would just encourage anybody that's hasn't is still in whiteboarding practice 5 minutes before they get on the ice to try it out, give it a whirl, and you'll see how much actually easier it is to do it this way than to wing all your practices in your season. So again, thanks so much for having me out here. Really appreciate it. And I'll get back to snowing, shoveling my 2 inches of snow we got out here.
All right, all I gotta say is, Mike, based on this, so I'm gonna say that when kids see something that even I wouldn't say a gimmicky thing like St. Louis, like a St. Louis practice, you have told me a couple different themes that you've created of other practices. I was in awe by that, and as a former player, if these practices were, instead of get on the ice and do defensive work, get on the ice and do offensive work, if you're able to create a theme every single time, it gives your kid a little oomph and a little excitement into just being the generic practice every single time. I think that was ingenious what you just did there. My thing is, if you were to come up with a Mike Weaver practice, would you say that there would be a whole lot of shot blocking?
Yes, we would tell the kids to bring out the extra shin guards and and the thicker stick, and we're good to go. But you're absolutely right. You have to, these kids are in a world where they control their own world, right? They can go on a video game and play for 9 hours and literally have every bit of control and fun they want to have. We have to find a way to make it more fun. I have more fun when I design the practices and the coaches, because they get to now. And then I have coaches saying, wow, I'm getting text messages all the time. I saw so-and-so do this in a highlight. This is a great drill. And they're sending me guys videos of drills you see every day. I said, that is a fun drill. Like, that's something we can put together, and the kids, and it's so transferable. Listen, there's a time and a place for block drills, but there's a real time and a place. And there's a time and a place, obviously, for small area games. I get it. But there's also a time and a place for drills that mimic the game, that the kids can replicate, that are so much fun. And there's so many ways for you as a coach to then take that little piece and praise a kid in that one little station. He could have the best day ever in practice in 60 minutes if one of those stations he was successful with. And that's great, all part of teaching.
But Ellie, how many times have you screwed up a drill?
Me personally?
well, how many times have you created a drill that you thought was awesome, and you went out to practice, and you're halfway through the drill, you're just like, oh my God, okay, stop it, we're moving on. Yeah,
well, that's it. And I've done that with whole levels, like a practice plan that I've done. It didn't work for the 8Us, but you can go in. You don't have to blow up the whole thing like that. In the old days, it's crumpled up. You can throw it out. Now I go back and say, I really like the foundation there, but I'm just going to change where this player is. Or, oh, geez, I didn't even think about that drill where the kids are actually shooting into the other station all the time. I've got to change that. And I don't have to reinvent the whole thing. I just have to change one little aspect of it, and everybody sees the change. And I love that part about it.
And that what makes a great coach, not a good coach. Like, how about this? Everybody tells me all the time, like, oh my God, you played in the NHL. Awesome. But I'm like, well, yeah, I'm like, that's awesome. And a lot of people think that I never made mistakes. I'm like, I made a million mistakes. And that's the thing, that if I didn't make those mistakes, I wouldn't have learned. And as a coach, you got to understand that there were times in my practice that I ended up saying, okay, I told the players flat out, I'm like, I came up with this amazing drill. This is your first time I'm trying it. We're going to do it. And halfway through the drill, I'm just like, guys, hey, we're going to stop it right here. I'm going to go back to the drawing board because I think it's a really good thing that we're going to do here. And we're going to move on to something else. It's fine to admit it as a coach that, you know what, it wasn't up to what you thought of as quality, and you're going to go back to it. And to be honest, a lot of times I took that drill back and I changed a couple things, and it was the best drill of all time. And there's a couple of my drills that I've done that I've screwed up big time. That's on our marketplace, like choose your gap. Trust me, it's one of the best marketplace drills of all time for Coach Dem. But I screwed up that 2 times before I even got that right. And that's one of the things, you as coaches, Minnesota hockey, you guys are, I'm going to tell you, don't tell Ontario this, you guys are ahead of the time. You guys don't say this. Hopefully nobody's recording this because I'm going to deny it. But you guys are ahead of everything because you guys came to the small area games and everything, small area drills and everything. And you know what? Keep it going. Honestly, awesome. And the reason I developed Coach Dem is not going with generic drills. I want you guys to take drills and be creative. I want you guys to take a drill that you love and make it better. And that's the whole idea of Coach Dem, is to go and take a drill that you love and you think it's the best it could be, and you think it could be better. And you know what? Benelli shows it all the time. I'm amazed by him. Even though I'm a very brilliant person, I'm going to say probably the most brilliant person you ever meet. Benelli, a lot of times he amazes me by a lot of the things he does. So honestly, guys, thank you so much. I'm Minnesota hockey is one of our most amazing partnerships. I've always looked up to Minnesota hockey. I've looked up to what you guys are about and what you guys are reaching to. And thank you so much for us being a part of you.
Well, thank you so much, and Stephen, and just right back at you. You guys are tremendous partners, and we're really fortunate to be working with you guys and learning from you. And everything that Coach Dem does is professional and first class, and they're responsive to questions, and you name it, they're tremendous. So thanks for being on and teaching us more about your product. So I just had 2 quick things to say. My first aha moment was I was at a clinic with a guy named Eric Anderson, who Weaves knows, who was a great hockey director and coach here in Minnesota. And he had this practice plan on his iPad. I'm like, what in the heck are you doing? He's like, oh, this is really, he showed me how easy it was. So then I got it, and I was unbelievable how easy it was and quick it was to plan a practice and save it. And then a few weeks later, I was running a clinic, and I was at my cabin up by Brainerd, and I was coming home, and I wanted to share the practice plan with the guy that I was going to be on the ice with. And before, the stuff I was using was all had to be downloaded on my computer at work. So the only way I could share something was if I was at my work table in St. Paul. So anyway, I just, got out my phone. I found the practice plan, and this is without a whole lot of training, was able to share it and shoot it to the other guy. And it was, so those just kind of 2 things in the first couple of weeks just kind of got me on board right away. And it's great. And it's really easy to share drills and plans, and I love it. So thank you, Stephen and Weaves. And we'll have some information at the end about just everybody here, just about, we'll send out information to everybody on the webinar tonight, and about how to get your association or you more information on board with this. And I'm happy to answer questions about my experience with it as well. Benelli, Mike, thank you for being on. Like I said, I was really looking forward to meeting you here tonight and hearing from you, and I want to hear more. So I love that practice plan you showed, and like I said, you didn't disappoint just because of all the things I've heard about you. So thanks for helping us out here tonight. And you're an honorary member of the Minnesota Hockey Player Development Team now. So we'll send you some walleye or something like that, to get you officially indoctrinated. But thanks for being on.
I'll come out. I'll come out and get it. All right. That's good though.
Well, happy holidays, everybody, and
Thanks, guys.
hopefully 2021 is going to be a better year for us.
Yeah, it will. It's got to be. Okay, thanks, guys. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much. All right.
Now we'll turn it over to Wes Bolin and Wes. Just a quick intro on him. A lot of you know him as the longtime high school head coach at Woodbury. Just a tremendous role model and coach here for Minnesota hockey. From our standpoint, he's the lead coach for our player development team, and nobody works more than Wes at hockey. And he will help a 5-year-old. He'll help the elite high school player and everything in between. He's developed a curriculum for our body contact and defense and scoring clinics. And he's just kind of all over the place. I've never seen a guy that's more organized or more dedicated to kids. And one of my favorite emails I usually get from him or connections is usually towards the end of each year, he'll send me an estimate of how many kids he thinks he worked with that year, how many thousands of kids, but he kind of keeps an estimate in his mind from all the stuff he does in Woodbury and player development there and for us. And nobody does more for hockey development in Minnesota, in my mind, than Wes. So Wes, thanks for being here, and go ahead and take it away. I'm excited to learn more about two-team practices from you. So thanks. You're on mute still.
Right up there.
There you go.
See, I have a hard enough time with coach them. The biggest problem with me with coach them is I have a hard enough time carrying all my 3-ring binders from upstairs where all my drills are for the last 37 years and trying to get them sorted out to figure out where I'm going to put them in my coach them. So, but I'm getting the hang of that coach them thing and put a few things together here for us. But thanks for the nice thoughts, Mike. I appreciate it. Two-team practices. We'll talk a little bit about drill variations within a pod setting here and see where we're at. Basically, it's some people might have heard me talk at the level 4 in the last 8 years or so. I talk about integrated two-team practices. I'm a big believer that two-team practices should not just be one team at one end and one team at the other, but we got to get up ice, down ice, and we got to make some game-like drills here for us where kids get some situations where they can really compete. These practices increase the skill development of players, allowing players to use full ice in game-like situations to improve their tactical awareness, provides opportunities for coaches to coach teams separately while allowing the teams to work together. And in this sense, I put alternately in red because we're going to work on creating two-team practices where teams are working alternately, not together, so that we maintain the discipline of a pod. And the drill set that I'm going to kind of share with you includes a lot of following tactical elements: line rushes, neutral zone play, back checking, fork checking. And it does require that coordinated effort by the coaches that the team was talking about here beforehand. So as we talk about things here, these are practices with two teams on the ice. And in Minnesota, that's going to be, a Pee Wee team of 13 to 14 skaters, one or two goalies, and we're going to have those. And in general, kids are going to go down to one end, go down to the other end with their coach, and they're going to do half ice, loop and shoot, things like that. And maybe they'll do some station work that's there. But we want to get things to get into some game-like situations. So as long as we avoid contact with players in the other pod, and we can still minimize the contact with players in our own pod, we can get into these tactical situations that are the fun kinds of drills that kids really like to get after. Okay, so when we set up our practice, each team should divide into half by position. Don't obsess with the line combinations, just 2 colors for each team. You want to get into trouble with parents, you start obsessing with line combinations. Just you got a blue and you got a white. That's what we got at Woodbury. Our youth has black and white, but you just balance your team competitively. Each team does that, and then each team's going to run their own kinds of situations here. So early on in the practice, we were going to do some skill drills, normally just like we might in a normal practice setting, without COVID. Skating can be run together. I like to run, I did this fall, I did the skating with each pod on the opposite boards and utilized the half of the ice kind of between the dots and the kind of between the dots and the center of the ice. Shared goaltender instruction is acceptable as long as you keep keeping appropriate distances. Okay, they're not going to be there for that long, so you can have one goaltending instructor work with them. Station work in half ice, including the neutral zone, is encouraged. A lot of times when people they go to opposite ends, that neutral ice area isn't used, and we want to encourage that as well. And every time I'm going to run a practice with youth coaches, if I've got enough coaches to supplement that, I want to put them into some station work where we're working on skills, similar to the kinds of concepts that Coach Benelli was talking about relative to the Martin St. Louis night. But we want to then relate those skill development drills to some sort of a tactical element or tactical drill that we're going to use later on in practice. And so that's kind of the main focus that we're going to want to do. Now, what I'm going to talk about, however, is some early practice skill drills that can be run in a full ice setting. They can be run in a full ice setting with a pod concept. And that's kind of the premonition of what I'm talking about here. I think we all understand that I can send one team to one end and one team to the other end, but can I do some things full ice together in a pod setting? And I'm going to show you there are ways that you can. So I'm going to start a practice with a 4-corner chaos drill. And this drill right here, I'm going to have one team down at this end, one team down at this end. I've got my goaltenders out here in the middle, and we just run a little 4-corner passing drill. This can be run at any level from squirting up. And I've got pucks right here, and I can have one whistle control both ends. And this player steps out, they step out with a puck, they snap it to the other side, and then they go in and support. So this guy steps out, passes the puck over here, comes over here, picks the puck up. All 4 of these players are going at one time. You could start with just 2 if you wanted, but then you go to 4. And then eventually you play a little 2-on-2 game in here. These 2 reds against these 2 blacks with 1 puck. And yes, you use your line as color for it. So that's a 4-on-2. That's going to take us 8 to 10 minutes while our goalies are getting a good workout here in the middle, getting some skating instruction in and some goalie movement and then some shots. Another kind of a drill that we would use is similar kind of a thing, a passing line change game. In this setting, goaltenders, same concept, skating movement, pucks, some warm-up pucks. At this end, now I've got a fun competitive game that's going on right here. I call this a line change game. You get a point for every time a player changes. You play 3-on-3 in the zone, 3 black against 3 red. 1 puck gets shot in. You can leave a net there, or you can go without a net. 3-on-3. And then the team that has the puck is trying to change. So if these 3 players have the puck, 1 player is going to try to peel off here. That's a point for his team as long as his team has the puck. So these 2 players are against these 3. I'm working on puck protection, competition, trying to get rid of the puck. And these guys are aggressive, trying to steal the puck from the other team. It gets really competitive really fast once the guys figure it out. And, we'll play up to 15 or 20, whatever it takes to get kind of twice through the lineup here. But that gets real competitive going at each end. Now the kids are really ready to go. Another setting that I might do, now we might add some shooting. We might add some shooting here. This is a red, blue, red shooting drill. And I've got 1 pod that I put on this side and 1 pod that I put on this side. All right. So 1 team on each side. Don't worry about the colors necessarily, but let's suppose this is that 1 pod. This is going to be whistle control. This is going to be all skating, okay, with a puck. Work on our hands and our feet. And what's going to happen right here on the whistle, this player is going to take off, go red line, blue line, all the way around. Keep your head up. Go in, take your shot on the goaltender. You can go in, follow it in for a rebound. Same whistle. This guy's going blue line, red line all the way around. And he's going to come in and take a shot. Now, if I've got multiple goalies, and I got four nets out there, I'm going to stick another net over here in this area, another net here, another net here, and allow that second shot to come off to this side. With an older group, I might allow them to go all the way back around here and end up being the third shot at that end. This green player, X3, he's going to go top of circles, blue line back all the way around. You're going to have 3 players on this side, plus you're going to have 3 players on this side going at one time. 6 players going. You're working on skill development, and you're working on getting some pucks on the goaltender, and you've got good spacing here, and you've got a single pod here and a single pod here. Another drill that you might work, a similar kind of a thing. This is a 4-man center shooter, center circle shooting drill. This is great for skill development, great for ice awareness. And if I'll just look at this team down here, this is one pod, this is another pod. The only crossing they make is out here in the circle, but they're not going to come into contact with each other hardly at all. Okay, what's going to happen here is on the whistle, okay, this player, X1, around this circle with a puck. This one works great if I got 4 goaltenders, because I'll put a net here and a net here. And this guy will come in here, take that first shot. Here's X2 down here, same whistle. He comes out here, move his feet, it's a full circle down here, not a tight turn. And then he's back through the neutral zone, coming back through here, finding space, keeping his head up and feet moving. This third player coming up the boards follows X2 all the way around, follows him around the neutral zone circle, and he's going to have the third shot. And then this player is going top of circles, bottom of circles, all the way around here, back out to the neutral zone and back in. And then the players will rotate X1, 2, 3, and 4. We've got 4 players here, but at the same time, we've got 4 players here going. So I'm going to have 8 players going at one time. Great work to rest ratio for the players. They're going to have players going around the circle. They got to work on keeping their head up and their feet moving. A great early practice drill that utilizes pods at one end, pod at the other end. Then another drill is a 2-on-0 check drill. And this one is kind of the preliminary basis for establishing pods on either side of the ice. I'm going to throw a couple of tires down the middle here. If I've got multiple goalies, I'm going to add multiple nets at each end. Otherwise, I can use just a stationary 2 nets. I might use it with coaches down here with the pucks or not. This one requires no whistle. I start with the first 2 players there in the black here. They're going to pass the puck. We're going to get an outside shot on our goaltender. We want it down on his pads. Second guy driving the net hard for a rebound. As soon as they take that shot, this player here is going to peel off and pick up a puck, and the next 2 players are going to follow in, and they're going to break out. I got 1 player on the board there in the green, second player down here in the middle in the green. Notice how coach them gives me the opportunity to show a little bit of multicolor situation for you so that you can get a little sense of what's happening at one end there. So we make that little touch pass here. Now these guys are going touch pass down the ice, and they're going to have an outside shot and drive the net. The next 2 players jump in, and the drill continues up and down the ice. Okay, that's great for passing. I'll then add a third player to jump out and step in as a defenseman to make that a 2-on-1. And that drill, I have run that drill with peewees, and I've run that drill with professional players as well. And it's a great early practice drill, gets things moving. So now I'm in this situation where, okay, now I want to get some real teaching in. I want to start talking to some things about some tactical things. I've done some station work, or now I'm going to go to some more full ice things. Let's do some continuous line rush then. Okay, how am I going to get these guys going on a continuous line rush? If I'm doing a pod with 1.5 ice, 1 team on one ice and 1 on the other ice, all I'm going to do is going to go out and loop out to the red line maybe and come back in. And that's not very realistic in terms of the game-like situation that's created. So I'm going to do a continuous line rush drill here. And what I've set up here is I've got 1 team, and I can split this up. I probably should have had this black and blue forwards and black and blue D right here. But I've got forwards on one side, D on this side here as well. And I've got all the pucks here with a coach here managing them, coach here. This is 1 pod over here. This is 1 pod. This is the other pod. and they're not going to come into contact with each other at all in this drill. And they can't do this kind of a drill in a half ice setting. So all we do right here is first player starts off, he's going to fill the wide lane. Second player is going to carry the puck in the middle. Third player is going to come down here. And these two defensemen jump out, peel back, and I got 3-on-2. As soon as this play crosses this blue line, now the red forwards are going to take off, follow in here, follow in here, follow in here. These two D gap up, and now we've got 3-on-2. And there's a lot of variations we can run off of this. We can make it a 3-on-1. We could send 4 forwards to make it a 4-on-2. And we could add a 4th defenseman to swing all the way up in here and be the late defenseman if we wanted to. A lot of variations off of this. It runs continuously and it keeps the pace up. You got, 7, 8, 9 forwards over here. They're going to go 1 every 3 times. It's a great work-rest ratio drill. And you're not able to have the drill this kind of pace if you just are playing in a half ice setting. So we got to be creative with our pods and shift our pods from one end to one side. And that's what we're kind of looking to do. Same concept here with a breakout and a bonds, 3-on-2. Bonds is a breakout in the neutral zone. So what's going to happen here? This side's going to run it first. Okay, this side's going to run it first. The only players from the other side that are going to get in the drill are these 2D. And all they're going to do is regroup. So if I regroup with them, I'm definitely not going to come within 6 feet of them. And I'm definitely not going to have any face-to-face contact with them. So I put a puck, this coach puts a puck in for these blue players. 2D started right here. They turn around and go get puck. These 3 forwards are going to swing back in here. We break the puck out. Now we come out here, snap the puck to the D who are skating backwards. They go D to D, and now we regroup and come back in on the same D on our pod. 3-on-2 back. As soon as these defensemen release the puck, this coach puts a puck in, they go back and get it, and these 3 forwards are going to come back and break it out. The next 2 blue Ds step out. And that's how that drill goes continuous as well. All right, so we've got a chance to do some breakouts, some bonds, and some 3-on-2 back. This next drill, I actually had this one was one of the drills of the week that they were referring to through Minnesota Hockey. And this one I ran a lot with my high school and Bantam groups this summer. So this is going to be a higher end drill that you're going to be running. This is a 3-on-1. It's a double bonds to a 3-on-1 or a 3-on-2. And what happens here is I've got 1 pod here and here, and 1 pod here and here. And you'll notice the spacing that's right here because in the summer we were able to tape dots onto the board in order to get some correct spacing. I was just using duct tape at the time, and when I get back in the rink, I'm going to use duct tape with some packaging tape over the top of it. It's going to stay a lot better. Working that out with our rink to make that happen here. But we've got this kind of a spacing right here and here. Our other D are all spaced out. This has got a 20-player setup here. So we snap this out here. We go D to D. Now these forwards are going to swing through here, run a neutral zone regroup. We come back here, and now we're going to regroup with our own color. We regroup with our own color, and we go back 3-on-2. Here we're going back against the opposite color. If you watch, excuse me, if you watch a 3-on-2 rush here as it happens, these players are going to have their contact is going to be very minimal with them, and they're back in line fairly quickly. That's the only drill that I have set up where there is some kind of an offensive to a defensive contact right there. Our late ice tactical drills are drills that are based on a concept that when Coach Benelli's talking about we got to have fun we got to have fun in practice, we got to have fun. Well, we want to make sure that we end the practice with high-paced drills that are competitive and game-like. And this continuous breakout drill begins that concept. I've got 1 pod on one side, 1 pod on the other, and I'm going to start with 5 blacks from this side out here, okay? This is my Pee Wee team out here. I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 9 forwards. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defensemen. This side is going to run a breakout. I'm going to break the puck out 5-on-0. And then as soon as that happens, I'm going to get these 5 purples, 3D or 3 forwards, 2D. They're going to set up just like this on this side. Now we get to the red line. We snap one to the coach. We fire that puck in. And now one forechecker, one forward is going to go put pressure on those 5 purple players. They're going to break that out. And now I'm going to bring that same black group out here again. Okay. Add these extra guys who didn't get in. They're going to rotate in here. They're waiting right here. These purple break it out. They get here. They find a coach, snap it up here to him, snap it to him. They're going to dump it in. And now one forechecker is going to put pressure on these black forwards and D as they break out. I'm going to run this about 2 or 3 times with this side. And now I'm going to bring them over to the side. Okay, blow it dead. As I blow it dead, these 3 blues jump out, 2 blues jump out. And now I'm going to run it with the other color. So it's an alternative. Okay. This pod is still competing just against this pod. This pod is still competing against that pod. And that's how I'm going to be able to run a continual breakout. And I'm going to get competitive with this. I'm going to add 1 forechecker, 2 forecheckers, 3 forecheckers. It's going to be really game-like by the time things go. Okay. And that leads us kind of to this concept right here. I've got a couple of other drills, but I'm going to kind of just kind of wrap this up, this portion of things up right here, and say I can play 4-on-4, 5-on-5, and I don't have to interact the pods at all. I've got one team here and one team here. I've got to set in separate jerseys. One coach, he puts a puck down here. These guys, I got 4 guys going to go out. We're going to play full ice 4-on-4 for 45 seconds. It's going to be high paced. The kids will love the energy. They love it. Okay, they're going to go. We're going to go for that 45 seconds. I don't know where the puck is. Maybe it's down there. Maybe it's still here. I blow that whistle again. Boom. Now this group fires the puck wherever they are. If purple and black are here, I'm going to go red and blue down here, and the same sort of scenario is going to happen. And we got high-paced, competitive games. It's going full ice. The kids get a chance to get up and down in that situation. Obviously, we can vary the numbers. I've got a couple of other drills that are on here that are a 3-on-2, 1 puck drill that I've used before, and I could do that in an alternate thing. But basically, we want to get to a place where we're using full ice tactical drills to get into competitive game-like situations, and they can still be used safely in our COVID situation as long as a coach is kind of conscious about he's I can't even see what my word over there is, but it's like he's creative in his ice usage, intentional in maintaining mobile pod structure. And that's basically the message that I have for you, is that we don't have to just be at opposite ends. There's things that we can do. Any questions for us?
Put my mug back on here. Wes, thank you. Thanks very much. And I'll just say, from someone that's had the privilege of being on the ice with Wes from Little Wild, where you've got 65, or a Chevy clinic where you've got 65 or 70 Rugrats and 5- and 6-year-olds on the ice. He's running an 8-station practice, and then I've seen him run a practice kind of similar to this, where he's got high performance 15 and 16 and 17-year-olds working full ice, both sometimes where pods are working together and sometimes where they're working separate, and he's able to kind of do everything in between. So that was really good, Wes. Thank you very much. I have one question for you. How much preparing and forethought, do you, when you're planning out like a 2-team practice like this for whether it's a high performance clinic or maybe for your summer clinic and your Woodbury guys, how much planning and forethouht's going into that?
The key thing is to figure out how many coaches are you going to have that are going to be able to help you. And so like if I'm coming out with Woodbury area hockey club, I might not know exactly how many coaches are going to show up. And there may be 3 or 4 coaches that are going to be able to help. And most of the times when I did come out this this fall, boy, I had great support from our coaches, particularly in early November, late October, early November, as we were getting into some things once their teams are set. Sometimes early season when teams aren't picked and all the coaches aren't there, then it's kind of tough. So we got to know how many coaches are going to help us out. That's the key thing. It's all about coaches and helping. You know, Coach Benelli was talking about how it's really important to have, to get your assistants involved. I want to get my assistants involved. I want to know that they're going to be there. And I want to, if you're there, I'm going to put you in charge of something. And, but a lot of those drills I can also run if I have minimal coaches there. But I don't get a chance to do a lot of coaching. The coaching comes from the coaches who are in line with the kids. They're on the boards with the kids. That's when they get the opportunity to really do the coaching. I'm just managing drills, but the coaching comes when you're directly talking to kids.
Well, and that's a great point, because you're right. Sometimes you as a high school coach may be going to run the Pee Wee AA and the Pee Wee A shared practice, and you're expecting 6 coaches on the ice to help you, and all of a sudden you only have 2 or 3 there or something like that. So be ready to be flexible. One thing I saw, like Kurt Hallstrom, who's a great Bantam coach, is on one of the attendees tonight, and he's up in Masio Maple Grove. They share ice a lot. So like, say they've got his team of 15 on the ice is Bantam AA, and they're sharing ice with the Bantam A, which I know they do sometimes. How many kids are you thinking in your mind, like, okay, so you've got 30 skaters on the ice, give or take. How many of those kids do you want moving at a time? So they're not standing.
If I've got
a goal or percentage or a ratio, or what are you thinking along those lines?
Yeah, if I've got 30 players on the ice, I want to at least get I want to get at the bare minimum. I want 6 at that shooting drill at the beginning, and that might seem like, well, gosh, that's not very many. If those guys are going full speed on that red, blue, red shooter, 6 guys going at one time is really good. I want to work where I'm getting 7 players going at a time, like on the breakout and regroup, and I'm probably going to add a back checker to it. Some of the drills that we can get to, sometimes we can get it up to 14, but in this pod setting that we have, it is harder to get the ratio that we really want. And that's why that we kind of need to move things over to the side. And if we move them over to the side and think about full ice concepts, we can do that. And we can kind of, we may not have the same kind of flow that we have, because we might have to blow it down and allow the other team to jump out, and now they run the drill for 2-3 minutes, and then we're on the side. Maybe we use that time to coach a little bit, to talk about things, obviously to catch our breath. But in a normal setting, we're going to have those guys are going to be moving. They're going to get out there moving once every 3 reps, once every 4 reps, that sort of a thing.
Okay. And I had for the guys that were attending here tonight, and gals, I saw some we have some males and females attending here tonight. This is being recorded on YouTube, so this will be on the Minnesota Hockey YouTube channel. So if you want to go back, I know some of those drills and setups that Wes were running, you'll be able to kind of slow it down and maybe pause and to kind of get those into your playbook. Will be on there, as well as it might give you an idea for another drill. You might feel this, I can do this off of that, or this kind of seems like this one certain drill that we do. So, but just know that'll be on there. We will follow up with everybody on the call with information on Coach Them, as well as my contact information on there. And so if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to get you connected with Wes and answer any questions you have that way. One thing that, like I said, as of late, I've been the COVID guy, which is fine. And I love helping associations and people out with that. But normally I'm talking more hockey and helping associations. So if your association would like a clinic, a player clinic, or an association clinic for your coaches, or a combination, Wes and his team can do that. And so one of the ones that over the past few years, I think that's become one of our more popular ones is we have Wes, or one of his right-hand men will go out to an association, and they'll do a classroom presentation or off-ice one for the coaches, and then he'll run a 2-team shared practice and kind of be out there running it, but involve those coaches so they kind of, walk away armed with some not only some new practice plans, but some ideas and philosophies of how to do that. And then there's a quick follow up with them after as well. So we found that to be a really kind of hands-on and a really good one to do, in addition to body contact and other things that Wes and our teams can do. We also have Brooke White on the girls' side, who does the same thing, who can go out and work in your association with your girls' teams and your female players as well. So, but again, Wes, thanks for the time here tonight. And you hopefully you've got your lessons ready for school tomorrow. Hopefully you're not gonna have to but he's I'm sure he does. He's got stuff planned out about 2 months ahead. But thanks for taking the time tonight, Wes, to
My pleasure.
Hockey. So thanks very much.
My pleasure, Mike. Thank you.
And I see Mike Benelli is still on here. So Benelli, thanks again for being here. I don't know if you're still listening, but good luck shoveling out from